What's going on, everybody? Adam here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Yakima Overhaul HD adjustable ladder rack on our 2020 Chevrolet Silverado. As you guys can see here, we have one at the lowest setting and one at the highest setting. The highest setting is going to be about 30 inches off the rails of the bed of your truck, and the lowest setting is going to be about 19 inches from this point all the way to the top of the bar. The bars we have here are the HD bars, so they are relatively thick. So they're going to be about 1.5 inches thick, and they're going to be about 3 inches wide. So for those wraparound accessories that you guys are looking for or have, just make sure that it's going to be able to clamp around these here. These are going to be the 78-inch long bars, so they're going to stick out a little bit from the side of the truck, but not near as much as your mirrors, so we're not adding any length or width to the Silverado. It is going to be an aluminum construction, and as you guys can see, it really is a really good looking ladder rack. One of my favorites just because of the style, and there's only a couple that I would really compare it to. One of them being the Thule Exporter. The Thule Exporter does adjust, but when you adjust it, the legs actually go into the bed of your truck. With this, they just slide into this little housing here, so we're not losing any interior bed space, which I think is huge. But the Exporter is a lot easier to adjust just because you don't need tools. With this one, we do need to loosen a couple bolts. We're gonna have to loosen these out here, loosen these in here, and then these two here, just because as we go down, it's going to slide a little bit in just to accommodate for the new height. So that's something to kind of think about, but all in all, I would definitely say if you guys are looking for a ladder rack, this is definitely the most attractive one we have here at eTrailer, and honestly functionality too. One thing I would add though is we do have sidebars. They look really, really cool, and you can put accessories on them as well, and those also adjust. So we can adjust the width between our two crossbars really easily and adjust that sidebar, so we can always have a sidebar no matter how narrow or how wide we have it on our truck, which is definitely a plus. One thing I really like about just the HD bars in general, when you guys are tying stuff down, we have a tie down on the end of this cap here, and for any T-track accessory, we don't have to take off the cap to put it in there. We will have to trim this little weather strip here. But if you guys are just putting stuff on top, it's going to protect your bars from scratches and kind of help that wind noise, so it's not going to, the wind's not going to come in and then kind of whistle through that T-slot. So that is something I really like. And since we're talking about tie downs, on the inside here, we're going to be able to use these as tie downs as well. Very sturdy, very thick, and again, these are always going to come with a bottle opener. Yakima likes to do that, so that's where you can open up your bottles there, which I think is kind of cool. So to go over a couple applications that I would use the ladder rack for, obviously for hauling those longer loads, whether it's just PVC, metal conduit, maybe some plywood, drywall, whatever it may be. A couple things we can do. If you guys like to kind of put it over the cab of the truck so you don't add any length to the back, then we're definitely going to have it at the higher setting. We could lower it down a little bit, but even if you guys are putting your stuff a lot over the cab, we might recommend that you guys put a roof rack on your roof to help out with the ladder rack, because this only has about 500 pounds weight capacity, which is a lot, but that's on road. If you guys plan on going off-road, it is only going to go down to about 300 pounds. But another thing too, if you guys don't really like putting all of your loads up over the cab, you guys can lower them down to the lowest setting here. Let's just say you guys are going on a long trip and you guys have kayaks. Maybe you guys are trying to get the best fuel economy that you can, but still use your bed. So just put this all the way down, right? Put both of them down, and then you can actually just have the kayak sitting here, and then maybe adding a little bit of length to the back, because Yakima does have a load extender. So it goes in your hitch, and it kind of can protect and help support that heavier load on the back end of the vehicle. I would recommend grabbing that just because it'll help your guys' wind resistance and fuel economy whenever you guys are going on the longer trips. And if you guys do have a sunroof on your guys' pickup, and you guys are going back from the river, wherever you guys are kayaking, they might be wet. and it might drip in if you guys have that open. So if you guys are trying to avoid that, definitely grab the load extender, put it down to the low setting, done deal. So like I said before, this is an extremely attractive ladder rack. I love it. It looks really, really cool, especially on this white Silverado. So some people might think it looks good as well, and they might run off with it. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that. We have 2 locking cores, and this is going to make it very, very difficult, if not impossible, for them to take it off. It's very, very quick and easy just to give you that added comfort, which I love. And the next thing that I like is it's really easy to install. So let's just go ahead and show you guys how. First things first, we need to remove the cap on our bar. To do that, there's going to be a little bolt down in there. So we're going to take the included tool with our kit. Very nice tool, by the way. Sometimes you don't really get these nice tools. And I'll definitely use this for other things. So once we get that undone, go ahead and take it out. Pull this off. We're going to have 2 brackets. Take them one at a time. Put them on. Now you can go ahead and just replace this cap. We can go ahead and set down our bar for now. We'll be using that a little bit later. Now, go ahead and grab these right here. We're going to have 4 of them, and then we're going to have 2 of these hooks per each. So what we're going to do, grab these big old heavy duty bolts here, and 2 of these little spacers. And then we can go ahead and put them up on the rail. Go ahead and just put the foot on the rail of your truck, wherever you guys see fit. It just depends on what you guys plan on doing with your ladder rack. Then we can go ahead and take the spacer and the bolt, put it down through there. Nice thing about this is, even when we do have it set in place, we are going to have a lot of adjustability with the bolt. So if you guys have a drop-in liner, or there's a couple things underneath here that aren't allowing this hook to seat nicely, it's going to be nice to be able to kind of slide these around and get the right fit. So I really do suggest just kind of threading them in by hand at first, always, just to get the thread started. And once we do that, slowly but surely, we can go ahead and do it for the other side as well. I do like tightening them down a little bit at a time, going from one hook to the other. That's just the way I like to do it, just to make sure it's going to be nice and seated down into position. And both of them are going to have the same amount of torque on them. Alright, perfect. The nice thing about this too, we do have another little rubber strip here, so it isn't going to really damage the underneath of the rail, which we won't see it, but it's nice knowing that Yakima kind of thought about that, thinking about your truck, making sure it's well protected. And not only does the little hooks have the rubber piece, also on the underneath of these feet we actually have a really thick piece of rubber, so that's going to protect the top of your rails as well. So now we can go ahead and grab a really big tool included with the kit and start tightening these down. Wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe hold the hook, make sure it's going to be nice and square. Okay. Nice and tight. So now what we can do now is just take one of our tools here, just loosen this up. We're going to be needing that to be loose in a future step. Now we can go ahead and adjust the height. There's going to be 2 on this side and 2 bolts on this side. So you just take your tool, loosen those up. We don't have to remove them. They're basically just kind of squeezing in on this top rail here. Just loosen them up. this side. And what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and just completely extend these. But there are some measurements on there if you guys have a roof rack on your Silverado, you can go ahead and lower it a little bit to match that height. But for today, I just want to be able to have as much access to the inside of my bed as possible. So putting it all the way up is going to give me that. And once it's up, go ahead and just tighten them down. All right, cool. We're done with that. So remember how we kind of loosen this up? That's going to allow this to slide into place. And it's really cool how it works, actually. I'm a fan of this. As you guys can see, it'll just kind of slide in there. It'll catch up on that lip, folds down, and then as we tighten this down, it is going to secure it into place. Really, really cool. Very, very simple. We could leave these undone, this little bracket here, but I'd just rather tighten them up so they don't fall off whenever I'm putting on my bars. So we can go ahead and do that same exact process on the other side. Now it's time to grab your bar. One thing we want to do with the inside with these brackets, just put them in the middle. Just because if we put them too far out, we're not going to be able to secure them down. So just kind of put it up into place. Obviously make it as even as you can. There are markings on the bottom of these HD bars, but there's also markings that we could kind of determine to see if it's completely even, or we can just eye it out. It's all up to you guys. But now that the brackets are in the middle, luckily in the portion of the ladder rack there's a little peg, so it's not going to go too far that way. So as you guys can see, it's going to hit that peg. So pretty much push it all the way down, and then we're going to take our smaller little bolts with a pressure washer and a washer, and they should be lining up pretty nicely. Yep. It's really, really convenient. I thought that it was going to be kind of difficult, especially to get this one, but just by using that little peg to stop it where it needs to be, it makes this a lot easier. So you can go ahead and tighten that down. And just to note, the tools that they give with the kit, they're good. There's a couple of different products that don't really come with great tools. This is fantastic and is making the job really, really easy. So Yakima did a great job with that. Slide the bracket down. Thread it in. So now we're pretty much done, but there's one more thing we got to do. Luckily, the ladder rack comes with locking cores, 2 of them. So where they're going to go is, as you guys can see here, we just have a normal bolt. But on the other side, we have a little peg for this to go onto. And notice the shape too, there's a little hole down here. And that's where this little screw is going to go. So this fit right there. Push it on. It's locked and ready to go. We are going to get 2 keys with the kit. So you can put one on your keychain for the truck, or you can maybe put the other one somewhere hidden on the truck just in case. But pretty much we are ready to go. Well everyone, that's just about it for our look at the Yakima Overhaul HD adjustable ladder rack on our 2020 Chevrolet Silverado.